Life is not a perfect place. It's a rare space to perfect your purpose. I was diagnosed with a mental health disorder, but I'm not crazy or dangerous. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I went back and forth. If you've been following me, you know this morning that I posted that I would either do a audio or I would do a, hey love, I would either do a audio or I would do a video. And then I went back and forth. You guys might hear my voice crack throughout this. And that's why I wanted to do an audio, because I know that this was going to be a very emotional topic for me. And I didn't want you guys to see me boohoo crying. I got the Kleenex ready. I'm ready to be very transparent and talk to you all. But the deciding factor in me choosing to do an actual video where you could see me is that I would be doing you all a disservice, because so often we hear mental health disorder and we just hear the term, but we don't necessarily put a face to it. We don't necessarily say that, you know what, that's a Black woman. That is a Haitian girl. That is a mother. That's a health professional. That's a college graduate. That is someone that you wouldn't necessarily say mental health disorder, this is it. But the reality is there's no real face to what mental health disorder is. There are stigmas that tend to make us prejudiced about mental health disorders and being diagnosed with mental health disorders. So that's really what, like I said in my post earlier, that's really what I wanted. That's really what I wanted to talk to you all about. I'll try not to focus too much on the comments and get things out there, but I might interact with you guys here and there throughout this this video. It all depends on where I feel, how I feel led to continue with this. But I wanted, like I said in my post earlier, I wanted to, this was going to be threefold. It was going to be me talking about the stigma behind mental health disorders. It was going to be me addressing like you internalizing it as a personal failure, and then kind of like the journey, the process, how I'm able to get here. So I want to thank all of you all for tuning in, for taking the time to say hey, to comment, to share this, to engage. I love that you guys are here with me, as opposed to me just putting a voice or pre-recording this. So the first thing that I wanted to address, like I said, is the stigma behind mental health disorders. And if you saw the caption, if you saw what I captioned this video, I said that I may have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder, but I'm not dangerous or crazy. And when I say that, the reason why I say that is because there's these stigmas. There are social stigmas that are attached to mental health disorders. That's what people think. You hear mental health disorder, hello Terry, you hear mental health disorders, and then you automatically think, oh, that person must be dangerous, or that person must be just crazy. So that's one of the biggest things that I've found in my own personal journey, why people shy away from even seeking help, because of those stigmas that could be put on them. It's not, and especially as a Black woman, and I have to go back to saying that because I am a Black woman. We have this like independent woman, you can do this, you're strong, you can hold the weight of the world on your shoulder. But the reality is that you're human. You still have the chemical makeups, and then sometimes those things, sometimes there's an imbalance. So there's that social stigma attached to it, where people think that they have these, they generalize generalize everybody with a mental health disorder, or they stereotype, or they're prejudiced, they discriminate. And the worst part is that sometimes people think that you did it to yourself. Like you did this, you are crazy, or you are dangerous, and you did this to yourself. No one tends to take the time to understand the evolution of chronic conditions like a mental health disorder. So I want to have this like heart to heart with you all, so we can talk about this, and so we can take the time to fully like take it in and understand that we cannot generalize all mental health disorder, and not everyone is dangerous. And like I said, like I started in this video where I was like, I would be doing you all a disservice if I didn't put a face to the voice that you would hear in an audio or just writing it out, because so often we don't think that someone that's a college graduate, someone that is a mother, someone that is a wife, someone that is that seem to on the surface have it all together, might have been going through this journey, might have been diagnosed with a condition, might have gone through things that allowed a mental health disorder to evolve. So that's that part, the social or the public stigma behind having a mental health disorder. The other side of it is the self-stigma. So if you're going through this world and you've been diagnosed with a condition, you start to internalize it. You start to have self-doubt. You start to, am I able, am I the sum of my condition, or am I greater than this, or is generalized anxiety disorder, because that's my reality, is generalized anxiety disorder me, or is that just a condition that I was given? So it's one of those things that you tend to have a self-stigma, and then once you voice it and people start, okay, so that's why this, or this person is crazy, it makes you not want to open up as much as you possibly can about your condition, which doesn't necessarily help. And one of the biggest things was personal failure. Because once you have the social stigma, and then you have your personal stigma, then you start to internalize this and think that, is this a personal failure? Am I going through this disorder because I've just failed as a person? I'm not meant to contribute to society. And what I've gathered in my own personal life and in my journey is that that's one of the biggest mistakes that we can make, is to attribute it to a personal failure. And I said this a little bit ago, and I'll say it again. With every chronic condition, there is an evolution of that condition. If you've been following me long enough, you know that I have shared some of the things that I've gone through in my life as a child with abuse, some of the things that I have, some of the bad decisions that I've made as an adolescent, and all of these things. I've studied psychology. All of these things, there's two things that can happen. You can become a risk factor, or you can be resilient. On the surface, most of you are probably like, you're very resilient. You have been able to do all of these things. But it wasn't until my a lot of things happened in my childhood, but it wasn't until my early 20s where I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. So there was an evolution, and I can clearly track the evolution of what occurred in my life that would have allowed this to perpetuate, would have allowed this diagnosis to happen. So I'm not in denial of where I'm at or what the journey that I've been through. And I think that sometimes we, like I said, we attribute it to a personal failure. We don't take the time to understand that there may have been things in someone's life that could have led up to that. There may have been situations that could not have been avoided that have led up to their diagnosis or their condition. So this is the very last day of Mental Health Awareness Month, and I've completely shied away from talking about this, but the reason why it's important for me to even talk about it at this point is because I don't want to leave it up to it being Mental Health Awareness Month is the reason why we're having this conversation. I want this to spill over into next month and then the following month for us to understand that we have to end these stigmas. We have to do our best to understand the people around us. And as someone dealing with anxiety or depression or stress, it is very important for us to find people that believe in us, that would advocate for us. Find people that understand that, no, you're not dangerous. No, you're not crazy. Yes, you might need a little extra help along the way, but that does not mean that we should avoid these people at all costs, that we should not help these people, we should not talk to these people. So that's really what prompted me to say, you know what, I have to go ahead and make this video. I have to talk about this. And I have to kind of talk about my own personal journey with this, because not everyone's journey is the same, just like not everyone's condition is the same, not everyone's diagnosis is the same. But counseling is one of the biggest things when this originally started that worked for me. Part of it was they wanted to put me on prescription medication, but I've always been an advocate of not taking prescription medication, so that wasn't the route that I took personally. But I had to, acceptance. I had to understand that this is what it is, and I had to understand the evolution of where I was at. I had to understand that, you know what, this is not my fault, that you went through things during your life, but are you going to be this condition? Are you just going to live in a state of constant depression and anxiety, or are you going to strive to do better? And that's where I was. I was striving to do better. I decided that I wanted more out of life. I wanted to do more. So I took a more natural approach to what I did, and some people have to take a more aggressive approach. I took the alternative. I decided that the best course of action for me is to focus on my gut health, because that's what my research was telling me. And my background is in alternative medicine. So my research was telling me that it is more than just, it's more than just, let's just say, a chemical imbalance that's happening in your head, or it's just in your head. It was more than something that I could just pray away. It was just more than something that I could just meditate away, because that was one of the practices that I was using. I was meditating. And it was so it was more than something that I could eat away. It was more than something that I could just throw to the side and not address. It was something that I said it wasn't something that I could just eat away, but it ultimately ended up being something that I was able to say, you know what, your gut is your second brain. So let's see what we can do as far as healing your gut, as far as putting foods that will connect to your brain, as far as feeding yourself things that were beneficial. And a lot of people are probably looking at this and they're probably going to say, well, I know some people that food is not going to help them and they're so far gone. But have you tried? Have you considered, have you researched? And that's one of the things that I don't make these decisions, or I don't even make these videos and just kind of half-step it and say, you know what, I'm just going to make a video, put it out there and hope for the best. I've experienced this. This is a journey that I've taken. I've sought out therapy. I've meditated. I've done these things. But at the end of the day, what worked for me was that I started making that gut-brain connection, realizing that what I'm putting into my body is directly feeding the way I was feeling emotionally. It was directly feeding the way I was healing emotionally. So if you follow my journey, you know that I, as far as my health goes with my skin, that's topical, I was able to deal with that and treat that naturally with herbs and supplements and things like that. But the same thing happened for me where I was, thank you, where I was at the point where it was like, you either start getting on some meds to get it together, because you can't be in this constant state of worry. You can't be so depressed. You can't be kind of like a deer in headlights, just waiting and not able to move, not able to do anything. And the world continues to happen around you. Everything is moving. Everything is happening around you, and you're just stuck. Because that's the feeling. That's the reality. You're just stuck. And no one really understands it. And especially if you come from my cultural background, that is not something that you openly discuss, and definitely not discussing the evolution of what happened in your life to bring you to that point. So it's like, what were you going to do with all this knowledge that you had about mental health, about healing? What were you going to do? What was going to be your approach? What is it that you are going to do to change this? Because it's either you just stay in one spot, or you continue to live on and be a productive person and contribute to society. So I started healing myself from the inside. And most of you would probably be like, what do you mean? What do you, well, we would have never known. We would have never known that you were in this position, because I made a mistake. During this time, I did not open up. I did not say that, hey, you know what, this is what I was going through. Oh, I did not open up to my friends necessarily and say, this is what I was going through, because I was afraid of those stigmas that would have been placed on me. Like, hey, like, girl, you're going to be okay. You're strong. You got this, because that's what we tend to do. But the reality is, I didn't have it. I wasn't strong enough. But once I had hope. I was hopeful. And once I took the time to realize that the reality was that I accepted where I was at. I accepted the condition, but I was not going to accept the prognosis. I was not going to be that person that was just going to be stuck. I was not going to be that person that was just going to, be on psychotropic drugs and just kind of like go through the motions of life. I wanted to live a life. I wanted to live my best life. I wanted to live a life full of purpose. I wanted to help other people. And that's what I do now. I take in all the good things, and I put out I release the bad things out of my body. I'm eating healthy. I'm drinking healthy. And I'm encouraging other people to do the same, because the stigmas might tell you one thing, and even like the public stigmas, the self-stigmas might tell you one thing, but you, my friends, my followers, my family that are battling with anxiety, depression, that are battling with other mental health disorders, there's hope on the other side of your diagnosis. There's hope on the other side of this condition. And maybe you might take a more aggressive approach. Maybe you might take the alternative, a more natural approach to healing. But I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that there are people that are going through the motions, that are going through this, that may not choose to be as open as I am, but I'm here. Like, I'm open. I'm willing to share my journey with you. I'm willing to explain to you what I was able to do, how I was able to do it, and break this, like, these stigmas, these negative associations with mental health disorder, and be candid and be open about my experience and my journey. So that's really what I wanted to share. It's, like I said, the last day of Mental Health Awareness Month, and I felt it very important for me to take the time out to make this video. And I'm surprised I didn't cry. I could have cried. I guess I have this big baby bump here, and I have like those hormones that I'm dealing with, and I have the hormones of the emotions of me going through this, and that being my reality. But that's just, my diagnosis is not me. You know what I mean? I'm more than that. I have more to offer the world than anxiety. and depression. So that's what I've chosen to share with you all. Last week I shared a video. This week I've shared another video. I'm glad that we are being consistent, and I hope that I'm adding value to you all, and me being transparent will help you along your journey, give you hope along your journey, and help you to realize that there are things out there, there are people out there that will advocate for you, that will go along this walk with you, that believe in you. And don't give up. Don't give up. The worst thing you could possibly do at this point is give up, especially when I'm telling you that there are people that are here for you. There are people that you might feel stuck, but I'm willing to help you get unstuck. I'm willing to help you along the way. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help you believe that there is hope on the other side of this chronic condition. There is hope on the other side of your diagnosis. There is hope on the other side of anxiety. There's hope on the other side of stress. You just have to believe in yourself and know that there's people in your corner. So that's that. As always, you all reward yourself every day by making healthy lifestyle choices. I'll see you in the comments. Again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to watch this video. It didn't get as emotional as I thought it would be, but maybe it's because that was only the tip of the iceberg. If you would like to learn more about the evolution of my generalized anxiety disorder, what happened during my adolescence and childhood that led up to me being diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, I would say go to the link in the description and I'll see you there.